Karl Marx was a man whose ideas changed the way millions of people thought about work, money, and power. More than a writer, he was a fierce thinker who challenged the system of his time. His life was full of struggle, exile, and deep study, but his words still echo around the world today. Karl Marx was born on May 5, 1818, in the city of Trier, which was then part of the Kingdom of Prussia. He grew up in a middle-class family. His father was a lawyer who valued education, and young Karl showed strong intelligence from an early age. However, he was also known for being stubborn and passionate in arguments. Marx first studied law at the University of Bonn, but he cared more about philosophy and history. Soon he moved to the University of Berlin, where he became deeply interested in the ideas of the German philosopher Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel. Hegel's way of looking at history strongly shaped Marx's thinking, although Marx would later criticize and reshape those ideas. After finishing his studies, Marx hoped to become a university professor, but his radical political views made that impossible. Instead, he turned to journalism. As a young editor, he wrote bold articles criticizing the government and social injustice. Because of this, the Prussian authorities shut down his newspaper. This was the beginning of a long life in exile. Marx moved first to Paris in the 1840s. There, something very important happened. He met Friedrich Engels. Engels was the son of a factory owner, but he had seen the harsh lives of workers and shared Marx's anger about inequality. The two men quickly became close friends and lifelong partners in writing and research. Together, they studied how industrial society worked. They saw factories growing richer while workers remained poor. Marx became convinced that history was driven by conflict between social classes, especially between the working class and the owners of industry. In 1848, Marx and Engels published their most famous political work, the Communist Manifesto. In clear and powerful language, it called on workers of the world to unite. The small book spread quickly and made Marx both famous and feared. Revolutions broke out across Europe in the same year. Marx returned briefly to Germany, hoping for major political change. But the revolutions failed, and once again he was forced to leave. Eventually, Marx settled in London, where he would spend the rest of his life. These years were extremely difficult. His family lived in deep poverty. At times they struggled, even to buy food or coal for heat. Several of his children died young, which brought him great personal sorrow. Despite these hardships, Marx kept working. He spent long days in the reading room of the British Museum, studying economics, history, and industry. His goal was to understand exactly how capitalism worked. After many years of research, he published the first volume of his major work, Das Kapital, in 1867. In this book, Marx argued that capitalism depended on exploiting workers' labor. He believed the system would eventually collapse under its own problems and be replaced by a classless society. Whether people agreed or disagreed, his analysis was detailed and powerful. Engels continued to support Marx financially and emotionally during these hard years. Without Engels, Marx might never have finished his work. As Marx grew older, his health weakened. Years of stress, poverty, and nonstop study had taken their toll. Still, he kept writing and following political events across Europe. Karl Marx died on March 14, 1883, in London at the age of 64. At the time of his death, he was not widely celebrated. Only a small group attended his funeral. But history had not finished with him. In the decades after his death, Marx's ideas spread across the world. Political movements, revolutions, and entire governments would later claim inspiration from his writings. Supporters saw him as a champion of workers and fairness. Critics argued his ideas were dangerous or unrealistic. Yet few thinkers have shaped modern political debate as deeply as Karl Marx. Today, more than a century later, his books are still read, debated, and challenged. Whether one agrees with him or not, Marx forced the world to ask hard questions about wealth, power, and justice. And that is why the voice of Karl Marx born in a quiet German town, still echoes through history.